Good morning. I'd like to call the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Selectmen to order. It's Monday, June 3rd, 2013. It is now 8:30 a.m. The first order of business is a public forum limited to 3 minutes regarding any agenda item. Anybody wishing to address the board? Okay, seeing none. Item 2 is the approval of the minutes for the regular meeting of May 20th, 2013. Do I have a motion,
So
please?
moved.
Second.
Any additions or corrections? Everybody okay? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain, Trace.
4 affirmative, 1 abstention. Thank you. Item 3, Town Engineer Jim Portley discuss and take possible action to release maintenance bond for Feather Lane in the West Winds subdivisions. Morning, James.
Good morning. Back in April of 2010, Feather Lane, which is it's off West Street up in North Guilford, was accepted as a town road as required by ordinance. We did keep a $5,000 maintenance bond for the 2 years, which is 3 years now. But the developer has requested that bond be released. It was inspected 5/24/13, and everything looks good. There's no defects noted, so it was recommended to the Board of Selectmen that we release the bond.
I'll move that.
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, thank you. James 3.2, consider and take possible action to recommend to planning and zoning on the CGS 8-24 and town meeting the acquisition of property in the form of an easement in according with the town charter, section 7-7, for the purpose of constructing and maintaining a retaining wall on a portion of 2 parcels of land located on Falcon Road, Assessors Map 2, Lot 42, and 144 Falcon Road, Assessors Map 2, Lot 43, for the purpose of protecting the portion of Falcon Road from storm erosion. And we also have to set the town meeting date for Monday, June 17th at 8:15 a.m. in the Guilford Town Hall.
As a result of Hurricane Sandy, we found out that the water side of Falcon Road, just beyond the intersection with Prospect Hill, had eroded. And we would not have seen this except the fact that a neighbor, Brian Gell, called us and said, you know, there's something wrong here. I see a pipe sticking out of the embankment, discharging water. Did the town just put that in? I said, no, and Brian doesn't live there year-round. So I went down and looked at it, and the whole side of Falcon Road, the embankment that supports the sea side of the road, had washed away. So the pipe is sticking out 8 or 10 feet beyond the embankment. So we immediately said, Public Works went down and brought some highway barriers along there, so nobody would get too close to that edge and cause the road to collapse. But we then went through the process of designing improvements to buttress that side of the road. We've had approved through DEP for installation of this wall, and through the actually planning and zoning because it is a structure along the water. Those were approved without thinking that we needed to really get an easement. It's just the support was there for the wall. We don't know what it was, in all honesty. There's vegetation and a fence along that side of the road that there would have been, I wouldn't have been even suspicious, because the road is fairly high at that point, but as you know, the water levels were so high during Sandy that it caused some kind of undermining of the side of the road, and the apparently slide into the Long Island Sound. In any event, we've submitted the plans to FEMA. They see it as a betterment, so I'm not really sure how we're going to pay for this. They said, well, we would approve placing big rock again to buttress the side of the road. I said, well, that's all very well and good, but the slope of the rock is like that. So you put big rock on a sloping rock, and it's going to tend to tumble right back into the water. And they said, well, you can't document what this happened. I said, well, all I can document is what we have now. So I'm going through the process of applying to the state for, they have a mitigation funds through, I guess they're through FEMA also, but they're administered by the state, and see if we can get the money from them. In the absence of that, we'll just have to put it back as best we can. But we have gone through the process of design. We've contacted the property owners, not knowing where the slope used to be on the embankment. My guess it was on the property before, but I can't prove that. And for sake of clarity, we probably should, and we did, contact the property owners. So we're going through this process now to get the easements. And I think that's just, that gives you the background of why we're here and why we need to have this public meeting and then why we have to have the easement approved by town meeting. So that's the background. I recommend the Board of Selectmen set the meeting and go from there.
All right, so I'll move that we set the town meeting for Monday, June 17th at 8:15 a.m. Regarding the planning and zoning recommendation under CGS 824, acquisition of the property in the form of the easement.
Second, but there's a correction, I think, to that.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
The correction, I just have one
It
question.
shouldn't be the recommendation of the planning and zoning, we're recommending to planning
right,
and
to
zoning.
two, I'm sorry.
Okay. Gary, I'm sorry.
I gather you don't anticipate any objections from any of the neighbors? They're all in favor of doing this?
They're all in favor.
Okay.
And we don't, do
got a
we know
residential.
what the pipe, where the pipe leads?
Well, there's a catch basin on the other side of the street. We know where that starts, and it went across, a lot of old roads, you had a catch basin to catch an area where the water is settled, and they ran the pipe across the street out and discharged into Long Island Sound. Well, because the ground used to be out here, and now the ground is here, the pipe used to go out to
Okay.
where the slope used to be. A section of that pipe is extending out beyond the embankment of the road. So it's out probably about 10 feet. It's pretty interesting to look at.
Any further discussion on the motion? Okay. All those in favor of the motion, setting the town meeting date of Monday, June 17th, 8:15 a.m. in the Guilford Town Hall. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
My recollection is we already have a couple of public hearing items that day.
Yeah, plus there's a selectmen's meeting, just.
No, I knew that, but there were a couple other items.
Okay. Thank you, James. Item 4, Deputy Police Chief Jeff Hutchinson, discuss and take possible action to waive the bidding for purchase of a digital audio visual system due to it being a sole source product. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, Chief.
How are you? So, by way of background, just to give you an understanding of where this is coming from, the state legislature passed a Public Act 2011, I can't remember what the number is, but
174.
174, mandating police departments to install and use electronic video recording equipment for certain interrogations. And they standardize the type of equipment that they want to be used. As an aside, we've been recording interrogations for years. The chief was way ahead of the curve on that. And we've been doing it forever. Unfortunately, the equipment that they're recommending does not match up with what we currently have, so it's really an upgrade to what we have in place. The good news is they earmarked some funds that were justice assistance grant, federal money, federal pass-through money through the state, and they said, okay, you can have this money, but you have to use it for these video interrogation rooms. So they set some standards for the type of equipment that they want. We worked with the state's attorney's office, who is really the end user on it, because they're the ones that need to get the video or the electronic recordings and use it in court or use it to evaluate their cases, and came up with the system made by a company called Cardinal Peak, and the system is called Case Cracker. They're the only ones that make it. It's a system that was one of the recommended systems by the state, and our local state's attorney prefers this system. There is a vendor that has registered the Guilford Police Department as a customer, and by virtue of that, they are given the lowest price for the system. So rather than go through the whole bidding process, we know the system we want, we know who produces it, and we know where we can get the lowest price. So we're looking for the Board of Selectmen to waive the bid process for us to get the equipment that the Public Act requires.
And the grant will fully cover?
Fully
the
covers
cost of
it.
this?
In addition, there's some more money that we're purchasing some other equipment, electronic equipment from, so.
So the state passes a public act saying you have to have video surveillance equipment, but there's only one vendor for this?
No.
No. They set the equipment specs that you had to use. And so based on that, there were probably 2 or 3 that came within the range of what those required specs, met those required specs. The one that we researched and talked to our state's attorney's office about, because every state's attorney within their district has their own needs and desires. They're their own little kingdom there. And so they suggested and agreed that this was the best system for them. So we're not going to disagree with that.
So this is the recommendation of the
This is-
state's attorney.
State's attorney, as well as the IT people in our building that we had research. We went around and looked at all the different systems and felt that this was the best one for us.
Okay. Anybody make a motion?
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Deputy.
Thank you.
Great. Item 5, Parks and Recreations Director, Rick Maynard, 5.1. Consider and take possible action on award of bid 5-1314, trash collection and disposal of solid waste at various town facilities. Morning, Rick.
Good morning. For the trash collection and recycling, we had 3 bidders, May 17th. The bid ranged quite, I guess, from a low from about 33,000 to about 70,000, quite a difference. Our recommendation is that we go with Waste Tech, which was the middle bidder, for $36,870. That includes alternate one. Alternate one was the recycling. The bid was structured for trash removal and dumpster at the community center. Alternate one was doing all the recycling also. And we think this company will do a good job. We're, we are not recommending the low bidder. We've been working with that company for a couple of years. We think we need to go in a different direction and offer to another company for the next couple of years.
What was the contract price last time around with the other company?
It was, I'm going to say, Charlie, around 27, 28,000, roughly.
Because it's hard to understand this, so what's their price is 24 basically, and Waste Tech's,
Well,
I'm
if you,
sorry,
the total, if you add
32,
the,
I'm sorry.
yeah, about 33,547.
36, okay.
Yeah, if you add the recycling and the dumpster in there.
Were there specific issues?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to bash them too much. There were a lot of residents who use them, but for our perspective, for the parks, there were weeks, sometimes at a time, where barrels weren't emptied. I'd get complaints from sports groups. Our own maintenance guys would check barrels. I'd ask them to check periodically as they were out mowing fields or lining or whatever, and they would say that they weren't emptied. I mean, I have a pretty thick folder of memos going back and
Were they,
forth.
okay, well, it doesn't matter.
So Pam, you've given your input on going with Waste Tech.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Have a motion then, please?
I move that we award bid number 5-1314, trash collection and disposal of solid waste at various town facilities, to Waste Tech of Branford, Connecticut, in the amount of $25,747.50.
I think that amount should
Gotta
be, you gotta add the trash
Oh, and then
barrels,
the dumpster.
the
Yeah.
36,870.
Correct.
36,000, okay.
36,870.
All right.
So for
Second.
$36,870.
A second, though.
Motion's been made, seconded. Any further discussion? Yes,
Just
go
one,
ahead.
are they able to supply all the bins that we need at all the various facilities?
That's part of the requirement. We list by season how many bins, like there's less in the winter, for example, than in the summer, and we have that all spec'd out in the specifications, how many bins. One other thing that's, I think, attractive about Waste Tech is that they have one vehicle that does the trash and recycling. On one side, they dump the recycling stuff, the other side, the trash. Some of the other companies don't have that. They have to go with a separate truck. And so while they're there, they can do both tasks.
Then I
Maybe
might,
some way they're cost efficient, maybe?
Yeah.
this might not be, sorry, Charlie. This might not be a question for you, but has anybody considered putting trash receptacles up at East River Preserve, specifically off of Bear House Hill Road? I walk up there a lot, and the amount of trash that I personally pick up and dispose of, I think we should put a container up there. of
At least
some-
at the entrance.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
We could do some of the other trails we've taken them away from, like Dunk Rock Road, I think, for example, in Westwoods, because we were finding that people were missing the trash barrel and the stuff would stay on the ground, and so when we used to do the trash ourselves, we started taking them away from some of those locations and found it actually was better. People would bring their trash.
Take the trash out?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
I think you might want to talk to the Conservation Commission, because I had that conversation a while ago, and I know both the Land Trust and the Conservation Commission tend to believe that putting a trash barrel there increases the amount of trash, not reduces the amount of trash. And that's just their experience on trails, because people bring their stuff and dump it there, and as Rick said, miss half of it. So it's logical, but it doesn't work, apparently. So maybe, maybe someone should.
Just a comment.
Well, it's a
Talk to
good
the
point,
Conservation
Veronica, and Gary makes, and also an equally good point. Why don't you check with the Conservation Commission? They are responsible for
Preserve.
this property and some other, some of our other properties.
Okay.
It's certainly worth the question.
Okay, I'll check it.
Anything further on this motion? John?
Yes. Because of the issues you've had with the previous vendor, have you communicated and/or in the specs spelled out what you expect?
Yeah, it's in the specs that they have to be empty twice a week. I think we even say Mondays and Fridays. If there's a Monday holiday, it's Tuesdays and Fridays. It's clear in there, and there've
Just
been.
that with the issues you've had the first time through, it would seem to me, either on a monthly basis or on a bi-monthly basis, if you give that, you say you have a packet, well, give the vendor that packet and say, next month you don't get paid or something.
We withheld payment sometimes in the past. We've done
So
that.
you're working.
Yeah.
So this is a one-year bid, so we could revisit this.
I believe
in
it's
June.
two, Pam, right? I
Is
think
it
it's
two
just
or
a
one?
2-year. I think it was 2 years with an option to renew it for 2 years.
Okay, so we could at least revisit.
Yeah, I don't want to go through 2 years of you struggling with
Right.
Yeah.
that new vendor.
Right.
Right.
Okay, and
I appreciate that.
Any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, thank you. Rick, 5.2, discuss and take possible action on the sale of a scarifier in accordance with town property and disposal procedures.
So the Scarifier, it's called a land plane Scarifier. Basically what it is, it's something we had purchased thinking we'd be able to use it on ball fields for, it kind of loosens up the soil and it's got like almost like a plane or plow that would then sort of level it back out. And what we got is, it's really too large for our use. It's not what we were expecting to get. It's really not the fault of the vendor. The part number that was specified for that is what they gave us, but there was a miscommunication between our park foreman and the vendor about the part number. It was just, there was a wrong number, and so we got something that we can't use. And so I've been trying since we got it in November, I think, October, November. And since then, I've been trying to find a contractor who may be interested in it. I talked to several different landscape contractors. We checked with Public Works, see if they could use it on roads or parking lots. And I've spoken with at least 3 different landscape contractors. And there's one who expressed some interest in it, although he hasn't come forward and said, yes, he wants to buy it. So we thought the best thing to do is offer it for sale. The price that we got, what we spent on was, I think, $2,900. And I think that's if we're going to put it on our website or however we're going to dispose, I think we should try to get the full value. That's what I was trying to get when I was offering it to other contractors.
Have you talked to the John Deere supplier?
We did.
They won't do a trade back?
No, we tried several times, spoke with several people there, and it was sort of a special order. It's not one that they sell very often. And they talked to the manufacturer to see if they'd take it back. They wouldn't. Yeah, we tried that route first.
Pam, you just want to explain the procedure, please?
Yes. First, the departments need to offer it to the other departments, which this was done. And then, after that, if the value is under $7,500, then the selectmen can decide either to donate it or to sell it. And they can sell it in one of 2 ways. They can contract with a professional auctioneer or which I don't think we've done for years and years, or they can advertise it on the website for 7 days, and you accept the highest offer. If it's over 7,500, then you have to.
Do we have to accept the offers?
No.
No.
So if
We'll
somebody
just wait
So we can
lowballs
have like a
it.
threshold of what we do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunate situation.
Unfortunate, yeah.
It's just-
It is what it is.
Gotta give it a shot.
Just have to be careful next time.
Yeah.
I move that we sell the Scarifier in accordance with town property and disposal procedures.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made second. Further discussion, Gary?
No, well, after we're done, I just have a comment.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
As some of you know, I referee a lot, and I'm on a lot of fields in a lot of towns, and I just want to say, while Rick's here, that the fields in Guilford are as good or better than all of the neighboring towns. So you're doing a great job on the fields, your crew's doing a great job. You probably don't get a lot of credit because you probably get a lot of complaints
Yeah, we get
when
some.
they're shut on rainy days or whatever. So I thought I'd take this opportunity to thank you, Rick,
Thanks.
for doing that.
Good. Item 6, in-house counsel, purchasing manager, Pam Millman. 6.1, consider and take possible action on bid 2-1314, office supplies.
We went out to bid 3 years ago, and WB Mason won that bid. We had 2 one-year renewals at the same pricing. So we went out to bid, but those renewal periods have now expired, so we went out to bid again. What I'm recommending, we had 3 bidders, and I'm recommending that you award to WB Mason again. We've polled all the departments. Everyone is extremely pleased with the service. The sales guy is a very personable guy, and they do weekly stock, very customer service oriented, and the pricing has been good. In fact, not recently, but I think it was like last year, I looked at like a 5-year look at how we've spent on the office supplies, and it's one of these graphs that go down, so I think we're in good shape.
And I gotta admit, seeing them up here, my office finds they're very responsive to the
And-
needs of town.
And just so you know, every year I get printouts. I ask for reports from him, which shows the spending habits of the various departments, which is just a good check.
Yeah.
And that's been very helpful also.
So you're recommending WB Mason for a 2-year?
It's actually a 1 year with 2 one-year options
Two
at
one-year,
your
okay.
option.
Okay.
They're the same terms.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I move.
Second.
You got who did what, right? Okay. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Pam. Item 7, Health Director Dennis Johnson. Discuss and take possible action on resolution authorizing Dennis Johnson, Director of Health, to make, execute, and approve on behalf of the town of Guilford any and all contracts or amendments thereof with the State of Connecticut Department of Public Health to implement a smoking cessation and unintentional injury program for residents. Good morning.
Good morning. Just a little background. We already have this block grant in place. It's a 3-year block grant, and we're in the 3rd year. And the State Health Department found a surplus of funds this year, and they're awarding full-time health departments additional money to fund this block grant. And they're giving Guilford another $926 to apply towards this 3rd year of this ongoing block grant program. So they needed a resolution by the governing body to authorize us to accept the money and for me to implement it into the program, basically. So
So moved.
Second.
I don't want to cut you short, but we've done this before.
yes, yeah.
God bless you for doing
Yeah.
it. So moved.
Motion's been made and
Second.
seconded.
Our paperwork does say 963.
Oh, 963? Okay, it's
Did we transpose the number, or?
But,
5,000 is still.
yeah, 963.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Did I say something else?
920 something.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's in 936 or something.
$40 is.
It's amazing that the state that has such a huge deficit finds money, though.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
always say that.
A little bit, but it helps.
Yeah, we'll take it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you, Dennis. Okay. Item 8, Agricultural Commission, Tom Pinchback. 8.1, consider and take possible action authorizing first selectman to sign all documents related to award of an agricultural visibility grant from the Department of Agriculture. Right, another grant. Good morning, Tom.
Morning.
How you doing?
Doing well, thanks.
Good.
We applied and were awarded a grant to create a farm map, a brochure that has a map on there of Guilford farms that would like to be involved, just as a marketing piece, really, that would be provided to, in the different dispensaries throughout the town and other areas that help promote farm sales. So that's really what this is all about. I think it's a $1,500, I'm not sure.
25?
Basically, the cost of the
We're just
map.
authorizing you to sign, right?
Yeah, we've been awarded it. I can't remember exactly what the dollar value is. The cost, the expenses are really the printing
Yeah.
expenses.
I'll
And-
move that we-
And that'll cover
Yes.
all of,
Yeah.
Yep.
all of your costs.
Yep.
You were gonna make a motion?
I'll move that we authorize the first selectman to sign the certification for the contract.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Joe, when we look at this, is it possible that there are other maps that we create, like trail maps and other things? I mean, is there any possibility of
Put 'em together.
Putting them together so that as a marketing piece, you could go on the trail, you could stop at the farm, whatever.
Something to look at.
Think about
Okay.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll bring that back to the commission.
Especially with the trails.
Yeah.
That would be a map that,
The historic commission, the historic sites, maybe we do
Or the walking
Walking
tours.
tours.
Right.
walking tours. Now, maybe it violates the grant provisions and you can't do that, but, certainly would be worthwhile to think about putting them all together.
I agree.
Printing would be cheaper. One
Yeah.
printing cost.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
Thank you. 9, the Guilford Preservation Alliance received presentation from the GPA on the proposed modifications to delay of demolition ordinance.
Right.
And representing
Good morning.
is Harry Haskell.
Harry Haskell.
Good morning.
Thank you all. These are basically housekeeping type modifications that we're proposing. The ordinance, of course, has been enforced for many years, working quite well. It came to our attention recently that the original wording was not in conformity with the state enabling legislation, so that the survey that the GPA undertook in the 1980s, which has been the basis for the historic determination that triggers the delay of demolition, has been referred to in our ordinance as the GPA survey. And in the state, which certifies these surveys, it is referred to as the State of Connecticut Historic Resources Inventory for the town of Guilford. I emphasize that these are the same document, the same compilation, so that by changing this wording, we would simply be bringing ourselves into conformity with the enabling legislation. That is, in fact, what the state calls it. And any emendations or additions, supplements that we might make would simply be added to that, the State of Connecticut Historic Resources Inventory. So that's an explanation of the first proposed change. The second one, which is subsection F under 160-3, I'm not very good at reading all of these, but you get it on the second page here. We've proposed adding a brief description of the scope of the proposed demolition. This too is simply to give the town a little more information when a demolition permit is filed for. And that is in conformity with other delay of demolition ordinances around the state. And the last proposed change would be to really take the GPA out of this process. For some reason, we were written in, and nobody at the GPA actually knew that we were supposed to be on site with our hard hats on, presumably, monitoring partial demolitions. That's right. This came as a big surprise when we started looking at this again, and for obvious reasons, that seems inappropriate to us and unnecessary indeed. So we're proposing simply striking that entire section. And that's it. If there are any questions, I'd be glad to.
Questions I have, we got 160-45-56-67. I have them in red. Were they additions, Pam?
I'm sorry.
Terms of permit fee and applicability.
No, I think he's renumbered.
They just renumbered.
Just renumbered,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure of that.
Yeah?
All right, so what we're doing is basically under subsection, on section 160-2, the definition is we're adding whatever the state of Connecticut historic resource inventory for the town of Guilford. Adding that, striking that the GPA be involved, basically, I'm really paraphrasing this, and just renumbering the sections.
That's right.
Okay, is that how that? Okay, because this is an ordinance, we will have to conduct a public hearing. We haven't set it on the agenda. We can set a public hearing now, or we can put it on our next agenda to set a public hearing. It's your pleasure.
Can we set it for
Can we-
the 17th at 8 o'clock?
It'd be a busy meeting, but I'm okay with that.
That's fine. Will Pam have a chance to review?
I think she
Yes,
already
will.
has.
Yeah, I
I'm just
involved
asking.
too.
Okay.
Okay.
The 17th at 8 o'clock?
That was a motion made. There was a second here. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Harry.
Thank you all.
You got that, Trace? Okay, discuss and take possible action on the sale of 7 copiers in accordance with the town property disposal procedures. Who do I have? Oh, Karen, come on in. I didn't see you hiding behind there. Good morning.
Fairly self-explanatory. The finance department had renegotiated our contract with our copier company. Back in November, all the departments received copiers, or not all, but many departments did. So these are the older copiers. Some of them have been through 2 recycling. So in other words, our old copier went down to the mailroom, and the one that's being replaced was our previous one. So in accordance with our town policy, we're just asking permission to, we've already offered all these to the town departments actually twice. Darlene did and I did, not realizing that she had already done it. None of the departments were interested in any of them, so now we're just asking if we can auction them off, put them up for
This would be
bid.
the same procedure I was described earlier to us
You're gonna
with the
do
scare
auction.
fire.
I believe that's the.
You're not gonna do the donate, you're gonna do the auction, which is fine. I just,
My understanding is that they want to try to auction them and then
First,
perhaps
and then-
donate
okay.
them afterwards.
all right.
Yeah, because, I mean, I would think there are a lot of nonprofits in Guilford that could benefit with a copier. So if we can't sell them, I'd like to see them donated to, our nonprofits.
We have a motion to,
So moved.
Second.
all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Nonprofit.
Yeah.
The problem is to
Repair.
make
Getting
it,
the toners.
They're expensive
In this day and
toners,
age.
copies a week that,
and some of them you can't get service
and
contracts
honestly,
for
in
either.
small companies this day and age, you want the combination copier fax
Right.
printer, yeah.
Right.
That's the,
Well, this,
unfortunately.
some of them have that
Yeah, they do?
capability, yeah.
Okay.
Consider, 11, sorry, consider to take possible action on resolution authorizing first selectman Joseph Mazza to sign master municipal agreement for construction projects with the Connecticut Department of Transportation. Pam, you just want to comment on this, please? See, Mr. Portley bugged out on you, but you know it better anyway.
The DOT has produced, I guess after months of time, probably years, a master municipal agreement for construction projects, for DOT projects. And their thought is that the municipalities will sign this global agreement, and then as each project comes up, it'll be, if you will, like an addendum to it, to pay a simple little addendum. And the idea is that it's streamlining the process, and these contracts that I guess and Jim will know more than I, took months to get from the DOT, will now be much shorter period of time. So a lot of town attorneys reviewed this agreement. There were some that went back to DOT with comments, and basically DOT said it's not negotiable. What I did, some of the concerns were insurance. I did run the insurance provisions by our insurance agent, Seeger, and they did sign off on it. So, so basically they were looking at the insurance and the indemnity provisions. So I'm, comfortable with the agreement, and
How many other towns have signed up at this point in time?
I don't know.
How long
I
has
think
this
it's really,
proposal
I don't
been
know
out?
that it's even optional, to tell you the truth.
The reason I say it is we got it electronically. It appears to be mostly the boilerplate of any average contract. But my concern would be if you have a fairly small contract, is this gonna kick us into requirements that you normally wouldn't get involved with on a smaller project? I'm just, if it's one of those things that's gonna be, this is the new world out there, and
Right.
every town is required to do it, then we probably don't have a lot of options. But I don't know if I want to be the first time out there until I see, is this going to kick any and all projects, no matter what the size, into another level?
I really can't, I think Jim Portley would be the one that would be able to speak better to that point. Although I can tell from the cover letter, it does, and also from reaching out to the other town attorneys through the listserv, that it's really not an option. Whether
Does COG get any input or any of those?
No, but what I will say is that
Not input, but have they had any discussion?
No, what you're referring to is probably the prevailing wage. And that's set by legislation. And
Yeah, but
right
not
now,
only
they've
that.
been doing this, or trying every year, and still they haven't been able to.
that's based on the value of the contract.
Right.
So if you've got
Raise the
something-
threshold.
Right.
From, 100,000 to 400,000 for reconditioned projects, and then up to $1 million for new projects. But
It's not only that, it could be traffic control, it could be drainage, I mean, I don't know what it could be. I just don't wanna see, every time we get a few $1,000s grant, it costs us twice that to do the job.
It's also a 10-year agreement.
Well, theoretically, you get a chance to relook at it every time the addendum comes up on a specific project, but you're still probably gonna get the
Yeah,
same
but
answer.
it sounds
when you
like you're
sign
gonna
it
be
or else.
tied to the boilerplate.
Well, yeah, but it's gonna be, even if you did them individually, you still get to sign it or else.
And I think, I'm not going to defend the DOT, but I do think one of the impetuses of this is to try to get these things moving faster, because they've been delaying the
Oh,
towns.
I know, but
But that's the only thing I can
Good, fast,
speak
and
to.
expensive,
Nah.
Faster
It
is
is-
not always better.
Especially if it costs you twice as much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're stuck with it for 10 years.
I mean, we have
I would like to
the
get-
option of tabling this if you
Yeah,
want.
Well, I'm surprised COG hasn't had any input or any discussion. I mean, I would like to know what the other towns were thinking of it. I mean, nobody ever said the DOT
Right.
knew what was best for every town in Connecticut.
Well, maybe Jim can kind of take an
Well,
active
at least
role in
have
that.
him look at it, yeah, that would be
I
important.
move that we table the authorization pending clarification and further information.
There's a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you. Good, thanks, good.
There's nothing pending immediately that requires this to be signed.
No, it's just a Long Hill project, which we've already signed off on, but
Right.
this would be part of it, and we're still in the planning stages of that project. Okay, Trace, we'll put that on the agenda for the 17th. That's gonna be a long meeting,
Why
so.
don't you put it off for a month? Can you put it off for another?
Put it off to the next
We don't
meeting.
have any-
What is the timing on that?
That would really, again, be a question to Jim, if he's got a project that might,
All right, I'll
Require
have
that,
to, I'll have to
I
make
can
that
speak to
decision
that.
then,
Right.
tentatively for the 17th. It's the day I get back to it. So. 12, discuss and take possible action on the proclamation declaring September 20th 2013 as the official recognition of Purple Heart recipients in the town of Guilford. You have some information and a proclamation.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Consider and take possible action on the Soccer Fest proclamation, which you have in your packet.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All right, thank you.
Tracy, you do a nice job on the proclamations, by the way. They're not easy to write.
No, and they do solicit the information from these organizations, so it's not all boilerplate as people might think, but it's not. 14, appointments and resignations. We have one resignation received from Peter Johnson from the Conservation Commission. Do I have a motion?
So
moved.
moved
Second.
with a comment that is the most entertaining resignation that I've seen in a while.
But with regrets, he's did a lot of work.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was going
And it sounds
to
like-
add to that, but yeah, I
Go
agree
ahead.
with you. Okay. And Cindy did say with regrets. You
Yeah.
had a second?
I mean, he did a lot of work, and he said he's still willing to do the.
Right.
the-
All those
the
in
heavy
favor?
lifting.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Any correspondence from anybody? Okay. Committee reports? Anything on 375 other than you're selling your banners?
No, banners and sponsorships are out, so please look for it in your mail. If you need a copy, they're available at the Park and Rec Department and the library. And downstairs, outside the town clerk's office, please consider sponsoring, because everything that we make in our fundraising events are going to help us support the celebration in the year 2014.
And I might add that the Selectman's office has a stack on its
Yep.
counter, too. So, they're readily available on the website. Again, I'll make a plea, if you'd like to volunteer to help the committee out, that be willing to accept help, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Old business, any old business coming before the board? Gary?
Just remind people that the groundbreaking is the 6th at 1:30, if I remember.
Right, I was gonna put that on the new, but.
Okay,
that's all right.
whatever.
Go ahead, go ahead. We're up to new anyway, go ahead.
But also remind people that their parking is not at the high school. Parking is at Long Hill Park and with a shuttle up. So don't try and slip in at the last minute, think you're going to find a parking space at the high school.
And I believe it's not gonna be a long ceremony, because they have to get the kids back on the buses.
Right.
Yeah, so if it starts at 1:30,
Yeah.
the kids are out by 2.
2:10.
You're gonna be able to, wow, no, I'm just saying, it seems like it would be.
Shovel and go.
logistically- Well, no.
We've been told to keep our remarks very short, so that's not even, I can do that. Public forum, limited to 3 minutes. I don't see anybody here, okay. Item 20, discuss and take possible action on donation of sick time for GEA employee. Executive session will be required. I entertain a motion for executive session, inviting the Human Resources Director and our Library Director, Sandy Ruloff. Do I have a motion?
So moved?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Mike, we will be back for a vote. Okay. We need a motion to come out of executive session, please.
So moved?
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Is there any further business?
I move that we allow the donation of sick time for a GEA employee through June 30th, to carry this person through June 30th, 2013.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, seeing no other further business, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
Thank you all. We're adjourned at 9:34.